Alianza Minerals in the news recently with some solid drill intersects of 455 grams per ton of silver over a meter at the Haldane Silver property in the Yukon Territory. I ran through the highlights of the release with the CEO, Jason Weber. Here were his comments.
Yeah, we did our 2 holes targeting some high-grade mineralization at the Middlecoff Zone that the old-timers were following up, dating back to the 1920s. The last round of work that was done there would have been some of the underground development in the 1960s, and they had some really nice intersections underground that they were chasing with the workings. One of those averaged 775 grams silver, and that was over about a 13, almost 14 meter section. And it was a wind, sort of a down drop from the workings, and they were following the vein down, and that's where that sampling came from. So this first hole, hole 16, we were targeting that down dip and a long strike. We hit the Middlecoff Zone, had some really nice intersections in there. We had the 455 grams over just over a meter. That's a great number for us. But what was really interesting there, just below the Ewing Fault, which overlies the Middlecoff Zone, there's a bit of a different style of mineralization. There's a 35 centimeter interval there that ran 996 grams per ton gold, or silver, sorry, but surprisingly it had 1.5 grams gold with it, which was not something we're used to seeing here. I know that at Keno and some of their deposits, they do can be variable. They can get gold mineralization with it. So we think probably there we're dealing with a different species of minerals. We saw the similar response in the next hole, hole 17, which targeted a little further down it, where we're trying to figure out what the plunge of the high-grade mineralization might be. The first hole targeted more of a flatter plunge to the chute. The second hole was targeting more of a steep plunge, which we're thinking now probably isn't the dominant control. But regardless, we still just below the fault. We got higher gold and some other trace element response with the silver mineralization. And then when we look downhole, once we get out of sort of what's classically the Middlecoff Zone, we hit what we're calling a footwall vein, and or veins actually. We see a couple of them, so some interesting numbers there as well. And there was some drilling done back in 2010 that actually looks like they ended just into that zone, and that hole was just a few meters off section from the hole we did where that hole ended up. And so it was interesting to get into that zone and start to see some of the numbers out of that stuff, which, we had 2 meters of 42 grams. The old timers did note on surface a vein that may correlate with this. We're still working on it, but I guess the picture for us now is we've got a nice wide structure there, or set of structures that are hosting high-grade mineralization, and now it's working along that, seeing where we can get thick intersections of that high-grade mineralization. And this is open a long strike, both directions. There is some down dip potential as well. We don't have that figured out yet. So lots of room for us to build on here, and time for us to sit down and look at the data in detail and try to figure out what direction we go next.
Well, exciting times for Alianza, Jason. What's the next steps from here then?
Yeah, it is exciting. We have the advantage of having some of the old workings here. There's 3 levels of workings that targeted the Middlecoff zone, and so now based on the good drill intersections we have and good numbers wise, but also good, for the most part recovery was good. There was a couple intersections where the recovery was not as good as we hoped, but it was generally 65-70% and above. Most of it was sort of in the 90s. So we've got some data to work with now that we can couple that with the detailed underground mapping that was done in the 60s, and start to put something together. So yeah, overwhelming. There's lots of data to work with there, and it's not. There are some complications. There's going to be some offsets in the veins. We're going to shuffle things around a little bit, and we're going to have to figure that out best we can with drilling and based on the old data. But it's a good problem to have, and we know we've got high grade mineralization here. It'll be fun to chase this out.